Hi, this is Maggie from Tailspin Petworks, and this is What's Up Dog, Training and Behavior Basics. For pet people, teaching the down. If you've seen some of the other videos, you will have seen these slides already about how to get started before you train. If you have not seen them before, please take the time to pause and read the first two slides. So, the down. This video can be used if you have not taught a down before, or to get your dog to lie down on only a word and no hand signal or lure. You add the verbal cue last. Some things to think about before you start. Does your dog have enough space to lie down in? Some dogs are very sensitive and they want to have enough space. There's nothing near their bum, etc., etc. And sometimes, if they're small dogs, you want to be able to sit down on the floor with them instead of lean over them when you're trying to teach them down. Those are things you need to think about. Do they need a slippery floor or do they need traction? Some dogs you can get into a down faster if the floor is slippery, and other ones you can't. Many tiny dogs are very short-coated dogs like Chihuahuas and Dachshunds. They don't like their naked tummies on the floor. So you might have to play with that, whether they need the slide, so they need the slippery floor. If that's the case, you teach them really quickly on there and then you move it onto a mat so they can learn how to do it on a mat and not have cold bellies. Down from a sit. This is the first one, and this is the most common one that most pet people use. And it's not wrong. It's just that sometimes you end up with a dog where you say, sit, and they sit and then they down. So it is something to consider if that's important to you. In most cases, it's really not. You're going to lure the dog into a down from a sit. You're going to take a piece of food and you're going to go very slowly. You're going to put the food on their nose and you're slowly going to go down past their chest towards the floor and then away from their front legs. The dog should bend their elbows, move their forelegs forward, and then lie down. Mark and reward in position and toss a treat to reset. You're going to do 5 repetitions, then move on. Those 5 need to be 5 good repetitions, which means they're successful. Sometimes when we teach it this way, you end up with a dog whose bum stays up in the air. Sometimes you have to wait with the lure sitting there on the floor in your hand and they'll drop their bum. If not, we can always try the different methods. Moving on. This is how we go to fading the food lure. You're going to use fake lure, which means you're going to do the exact same movement with your hand that you did in the previous step, but there's no food in it. Your food is going to be in your pouch or in your pocket or in a dish or whatever. It's not in your hand. So you're going to use the same movement. When the pup goes down, you're going to mark and reward in position, toss to reset, do 5 reps, same as before. Then you're going to add the cue. You're going to say down, and then you're going to pause. Then you're going to use your hand signal that you like, your fake lure that you've been using. You're going to do that 3 times in a row where you give them a little bit of pause between. Then you're going to say down and pause and don't do anything. You're just going to wait. So what we're trying to get here is for the dog to think, oh boy, what did I just do that got the cookie? Wait a second. Oh, is it this? And they lie down. If that's what they do, you're going to mark and reward in position and you're ready to go to do your repetitions and you're good to go. If they don't, or they start to get frustrated or they start to wander around or, get distracted, that means you need to go back to the previous step and do it again a couple of times. It's really hard for the dog to go from movement to word because they really are more primed to remember movement. The other kind of down that I like is the fold back down. And the reason I like this is it looks very cool. You start with the dog in a stand rather than sitting. And you're going to lure from the nose down. So same idea, except when you go down towards the floor, you're going to go in towards the chest of the dog. Their nose continues to go down and they start to shift their weight backwards. And usually they will fold back into the down position. Then you can mark and reward in position, toss, treat to reset, etc., etc. So it's the same idea. You do the exact same thing to get rid of the lure and add the cue, etc. I prefer this down. I think it's much neater looking, and it's also a lot better for the dog's hind end, muscular-wise, because they get to practice going up and down. And if you can't get it down for some reason, because there's a lot of dogs out there that don't do well following a lure or are just uncomfortable with it, You can also do capturing a down. Every dog eventually is going to lie down. They have to lie down to sleep. They have to lie down to, well, I don't know. They usually just have to lie down sometime. So you're going to catch your dog going to lie down on their own, which means sometimes you have to look for those precursors, like them circling a little bit or that sort of idea. And as soon as they lie down, you're going to say yes, and you're going to give them a treat. Now, they're going to go, oh, I got a cookie. They're not going to know what it's for right away. You might have to get 3 or 4 of those in a row. And I mean, like in one day when the dog goes to lay down again, before the puppy starts to go, oh, wait, whenever I do this thing, I get a cookie. And then they might offer it to you. And that's when you know they're getting the hang of it. Then you can start adding a cue. And that's it. Happy training.